call capital planning to order. We are being recorded. And I have Kristen on the phone if anybody,
How's she
I don't know.
feeling?
She sounds like she's not feeling so hot. How are you
Hi,
feeling,
everyone.
Kristen?
I'm okay. I'm sorry I'm not there, everyone.
So the first thing that we want to talk about is reorganization of our power structure, if you can call it that.
Our board.
Our board. That's a good word. That's much better than my words. But without John here, do we want to hold off? Thoughts?
If you want to do
Debate.
it now, do it now, and then if he wants to change, we can always reorganize the next meeting.
Okay.
Or if you think it's just a waste of time, we can put it off till the next meeting.
Why don't I hate to speak for him or put him in a position that he doesn't want to be in. So
I warned him already.
that he's gonna get
Didn't feel one way or the other.
yeah.
I mean, when's our next meeting?
So next week, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So we'll just put it off a week.
okay.
Is it next week or 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
Oh.
because it's 21st.
That's actually the 30th.
Oh, it's the 30th. Yeah, next week is.
We're skipping the 23rd is Thanksgiving, so it's the following week.
But next week is the 14th.
14th is the one for the,
Is that the one I-
training for the,
Yeah.
we were actually scheduled for the 9th, the 30th,
And
then
the
December.
14th,
Oh, and then we have 2 back-to-back
In December.
Yeah.
we have one for the
Oh, so-
30th, the 14th, and the 21st.
Correct.
In December.
Yes.
14th and 21st of December.
Okay. But not the 16th.
And we
I
had
see.
to skip a week because of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we skipped Thanksgiving,
I
but
could have been here.
the 16th.
But there's that training on the 14th.
Yeah.
But the 16th is the Thursday.
I know, but we didn't plan on that.
No, we didn't. I wonder why we didn't plan on it.
I have Eloise notes too.
I believe you. I remember having this discussion. I know there's some reason we didn't do it,
Let me get
But-
these back to
Probably
you.
somebody was away. Thank you.
probably. Not me.
Hold on to that as a secret document.
Okay.
Okay, so I make a motion to postpone reorg.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Second is minutes.
Yep.
Anybody have thoughts about Eloise's minutes?
I did change that, I think.
Whatever thing I said.
Well, I had said the budgets hadn't come back, hadn't gone out yet, and it wasn't that they were out.
Yeah, they
didn't
hadn't.
come back.
Awesome.
Okay.
Anybody have objections?
No.
I make a motion, we approve these minutes as shown.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Minutes. So then, looking at the capital requests that we have currently received, were you able to
I couldn't.
access those?
No, I thought I could, but it wasn't what we were looking for.
Okay. Eloise, did you look at all in the Google file to try and access the request forms?
I feel I did, but I can't remember what I saw. Which makes me
I
wonder.
actually just sent an email to you all.
Oh, okay.
I emailed you highway and police. I'm not sure what happened with the Excel files. I do apologize. It seems like some kind of corrupted file of some sort happened with the Excel files on the drive, but
Oh, yeah,
I just sent
okay.
you police and highway via email.
Who did?
And I'm looking for fire right now.
Okay.
I didn't get that.
I have a,
Julie didn't get
Kristen,
one.
I didn't get those.
Oh.
Did you include me?
Yes, I
Yeah,
believe she
I
did.
believe I did. It might take a minute. 'cause
I've got it on my phone already, so.
Okay.
Sometimes my phone takes quite a while to send things.
can I ask a town employee, Eloise, do you happen to know what the Wi-Fi password is? Is it posted? Oh,
It's
It
right-
used to
oh,
be posted.
yeah, right, like I can read that from here. My eyes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I can read that from here. Okay. So maybe at least I can bring it up on a bigger screen so we're not staring at it. I could get some of the requests to print. So the select board request is that one. One of the fire request is gear replacement. And I have a couple of copies of both of those.
And I just emailed Anna's, police and highway and fire is going to be sent to me momentarily, because that went directly to Dee, our new admin, and she's going to forward that to me momentarily. So I apologize for that. I'm not sure why the files are not opening.
I feel like that's the way the internet works,
Just our luck.
right? So I'm gonna try to pull it up on my email. I have my laptop with me. So maybe we can view it in a slightly larger
I can hope.
format.
I'm trying to see if I can
Can they
add.
offer it for somebody to take it down and reuse the old wood?
Oh, for the select board,
Hmm.
the barn?
Actually, I thought that'd be a good place to put a rock climbing.
You wanna put a rock climbing thing?
Everybody has their own bucket list.
And yours is rock climbing?
Well, how big is the brown barn?
Fairly big. You know, it's the brown barn when you go by the tennis courts.
I would say 20 by 30 or 30 by 40. It's fairly large.
Yeah, I used to hold my rabies clinics there.
You used to have rabies? Sorry.
Kristen still in the line?
It's
She
true.
is.
So what, the last one I got is for the, from Freddie Cummins, that's the one I got, there was another one she sent too?
I sent one from police and one from highway.
So yeah, that should,
I got the DPW one, but I didn't get the, and I got the police one.
yep.
That's it.
Okay,
The police
thank you.
one I'm actually uploading both of them into the drive right now too. Seeing if it's gonna let me replace those files with ones that actually open. So I just put the police ones in there. Can you let me know if you're able to open those?
In the drive?
Yes.
Might work better. Kristen, I have a question for you. The Board of Selectmen submission,
Yes.
is that something you will present to us and talk to us about, or is that something that we need the board to come in and talk?
So I can present it to you. They asked if I would submit it on their behalf.
Okay.
And I did just, the problem I was having was getting quotes. And I have quotes for the brown barn portion of it. The paving, ironically enough, nobody seems to want to give me a quote for paving right now. So I'm still trying to get that quote.
Have you passed it through the Historical Society?
Yes, Scott Hawkins spoke with the Historical Society and they said there's no historical value to that building.
Well, usually they give me a document stating that, just in case I'm challenged.
Okay, they said it's like a 1960s barn. It doesn't, I mean, I can ask them for a document.
I mean, usually that's the process.
Okay.
So how much, so the selectman was 10,000?
Was it 10? What?
50.
50,000. So 10 for the barn and, because I have 10 in front of me. Oh no, I have 100.
Right, it's 50,000 in ARPA funding and 50,000 they're requesting in capital funding because they had a little bit of ARPA funding to put toward it.
Okay. My understanding is ARPA funding we still have to approve through capital.
Yep.
Okay.
So it gets approved by the select board, but we have to notify capital is my understanding.
Okay. I thought capital had input. Let me rephrase that. I thought capital had input. How about that? I'll stick with that. Why can't I?
I mean, we can certainly have that conversation. My understanding was that the ARPA funding, I don't know if that was set up differently before I started, but my understanding was the ARPA funding was under the jurisdiction of the select board.
Yes, but I thought that capital had.
Because it's over 5,000.
Yeah, capital is supposed to have a vote on everything that's every purchase that it exists over 10,000.
Right. So if it's 10,000 has that useful life of more than the 5 years, right?
I don't think we have a useful life in our definitions, but I can double check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I mean, something like, something that wouldn't. I thought there was a cap on it, and maybe I'm getting mixed up with what I'm used to doing previously. So I apologize if that's the case.
Can you
I
hear
can
that?
upload
Yeah.
I
what
can
they're
just
thinking
barely
of
hear.
for ARPA. They had to make some conditional approvals because the funding had to be allocated,
Thank you.
so that it wasn't lost to the state.
Right.
And I think we had that conversation, but let me upload that as well.
And while you're doing that, would you mind resending me the link to the Google Drive? Somehow it's not in my email. But it wasn't, it was 30 minutes ago when I was sitting at my house looking at it. I don't get it.
Sure, no problem. Sorry, I can't open the two things at once, but give me one.
No hurry. I just was trying to.
Hold on. Let me stop and get out of that, and I will send you the link. Capital. Okay, I'm forwarding it to you right now, Anna.
Thank you.
You got it. Let me just, hopefully it'll come through in 1 second.
Okay. And I have not yet received police as a separate email, if that makes sense. Oh, no, wait, I lied. I have not yet received fire.
I haven't got fire either. I have.
Yeah, I don't have fire yet.
Okay.
I'm still waiting for fire.
That comes
Perfect.
in. Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much for, I don't understand where that link went. Okay,
No problem at all.
here we go, FY 2025,
I'm going to put ARPA on the drive right now, too.
request by department, fire, gas meters.
Do you want me to just put it in the FY25 folder so everything's in one place, even though kind of,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
put it in FY25.
Yeah, that would be lovely,
That'd
thank
be
you.
perfect.
Yeah, so actually we could start, if you'd like, since we don't have the others, we could start with talking a little bit about ARPA, if that works.
Sure,
Before you start, can you send me that link too? Because I'm getting the budget folder, but I'm not getting the capital.
Hold on, I'm just sending over fire. I just received it, so give me one moment on that.
Julie, what is your email? Is it juliemalik@gmail?
Don't
Oh,
'Cause-
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I forgot.
Somebody already did that to me once.
Is that it with a little arrow pointing?
Yeah.
down? Yes, okay. So this in theory went to you.
Okay.
So is this,
But you only had 30 minutes before it would self.
this capital,
Yeah, I
Well,
like
I
that.
think that's what's
Google,
been
this
happening.
Google one is not the one, this one here?
So that Google one is the,
But I have nothing.
so you go to FY '25.
Yeah, didn't-
Yeah, and then if you click on one of those,
Yeah, didn't. Calendar guide, that's all that is.
yeah. No, you should have mine has, let me open it back up. So, Kristen, trying to go back into the Google Drive again with Fire, it said it couldn't preview the file, the file is empty.
Right, I haven't uploaded Fire yet. I
Oh,
did
okay.
Highway.
Highway, let me try Highway then.
Or I started to do Highway, but then I think I got
Right.
pulled to something else.
Yeah.
So police is in there, and then I emailed you the rest of them.
Okay.
How much for police?
Yeah, I'm still getting for Highway, I get no preview available.
Right, no you might have the preview part. You might have to actually download it.
Yep, and then I downloaded it and go to open it, and it says, I can't open this file because the format is currently unsupported or the file is corrupted.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I have never had this problem before. This is so
always-
weird. Okay, hold on a second.
Okay.
I'm just-
So, Steve, if you go into the capital.
Can you open the police ones?
I got the police one.
Yeah, so if
How
you-
much is the police one?
I don't know the answer to that question.
So that's on the Google one that she sent
Yeah,
us?
so you go to Capital Planning Committee, FY '25, and then requests by department. And then it comes up as each department.
All right, I'm putting Fire ones in as we speak.
Okay, so CPC, and then we go to,
Requests by department, or FY '25. Oh, I got police to load.
Yay!
that's the one for the
For the tasers.
tasers, yeah. Then there should be another one for cruiser there.
Yeah.
So then I got FY '25 budget, then build this one here, so. Or,
Maybe in requests by department. So if you hit that up there, and then
Okay.
you get each of the departments.
Can you show
Okay.
me that email I'm supposed to have gotten?
Yes, I'm lucky we have multiple devices. So,
The one with the link to the drive.
load again.
mine says file is empty.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there it is. I lied.
Well. No, that's what she just sent.
Mhm.
Where is this? Capital planning request. Okay, wait. It's right here. This one, right here.
What's?
So it says capital planning minutes.
Capital planning minutes, and it was sent, what day was it sent? The 26th?
Just now, 6:30. So the newest one was 6:32. I don't understand.
Oh, she sent it to you. I don't think she sent it to,
Oh, she didn't send it to all of us. So, but she forwarded this one, so I can forward it again.
okay.
On November 8th at 4:59.
Okay.
Okay, Fire should be in there now. If you want to check and see if those will open, there should be 7 from Fire.
I got one for fire.
Okay. Julie, I'm resending it right now.
I just found it.
Oh, never mind. Well, I
Thank
resent it
you.
anyway. You're welcome. We're gonna have 6 copies of this, and then we're still gonna be asking Kristen, hey, I lost the link again. So you said you just put in fire, Kristen? You put it in the Google Drive, or you put it?
I put it in the Google Drive and
Okay.
I emailed it to you. So now so it should have today's date on it, the November 9th date. Don't open the October 31st. I'm in the process of removing those because those are the bad ones.
Oh, that's what I just opened. Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, you have to open the ones that I just uploaded with today's date.
Okay, so in the Google Drive, I don't see anything updated with today's date. I see November 2nd is the most recent date I have. Oh, but now I refreshed it and there's a whole bunch more. Okay, never mind. Gas meters, here we go. For my committee members, I reached out to fire, police, community preservation, and highway about each of them coming in to discuss their capital requests. So community preservation is coming in December, and highway is coming in November 30th.
Perfect, because I didn't receive CPA yet. They're still in the process of determining their projects, and for school, they're still in the process as well. They usually come in a little bit later. All I have is that sort of preview information that I had provided to you.
Yep. So I did get gas meters to open for fire. So
Yay.
I think the new files are good.
Okay, excellent. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what the heck happened.
No
But
worries.
I'm glad they're working. So I'm in the process of getting the highway ones
Oh, yeah, they all came in. Wow.
fixed in there.
Kristen, I'm talking and I don't think I've met you. My name is Steve Clark.
Hi, Steve. I actually was going to say something to you because I realized I may have left you off on some earlier emails.
No,
It's very nice to meet you.
I think I got everything you said.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yep.
And before today, because
No.
I just got your email off of an earlier email today. So I think I've got you all set and on my list now.
Yeah, I've pretty much, I think I've got pretty much everything that you sent. I can't complain anyways.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us. And you've got my email now, too, if you need anything or you're missing anything.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So I think we're good with fire, police, and I'm just checking to make sure I got everything from highway up there. Hold on one moment.
Did highway submit anything for facilities?
The only thing I saw was ductwork cleaning.
Yes. And in the 1870s parking lot.
Yeah. All right, so they have a upgrade expansion.
And then the barn and paving, the barn and the parking lot at South Commons, I obviously also am working with Fred on that as well. We've been coordinating. So that's sort of a hybrid select board / highway facilities.
Project.
How about
request.
South
Yeah.
Street?
Multi-jurisdictional project.
For the bridge.
So the one I see
For the bridge.
for building is for this building.
For duct
For
cleaning.
ductwork. Yeah, cleaning.
Yeah.
And sanitizing. That's a good thing.
I want to circle back. Eloise, you asked earlier about police, how much police was requesting.
Yeah, do you have anything for a summary?
No, I have nothing for a summary, but I can tell you that police is requesting 22,000 for tasers. And I don't understand this statement, but 13,000 for cruiser replacement.
That was 113,000.
My request in front of me says 13,000. Oh no, down here it says 116,000.
Yeah, that's one I had. I thought it was 116.
Yeah,
13,504 for tasers, and then 116,000 for a cruser.
Oh, my
That's two,
tase.
that's two cruises.
Yeah,
No, can't be.
It is.
2?
Yep, 2019 and
usually-
2020.
They're usually about 50 to 55, so that sounds about right.
Okay.
But, so, yeah. So on my cruiser request form, under total project request amount, it says $13,504.50. But as I go further down into the budget impact and looking at a 5-year plan, it says 116,000.
Oh, something happened with the numbers. I see that. It also put periods in instead of decimal points on the project request. That is very odd.
Interesting. And then if I go back to the tasers, so the tasers said 22,000 for under total project request, but I'm gonna scroll down. Nope, it still says 22,000 everywhere for tasers.
Okay, how
Yeah.
about for fire?
It's 116 would be the amount. I don't know what happened with the total project request number up at the top. That's very weird. But yes, I know Chief and I had a conversation because Ford has increased the prices pretty extensively for the hybrids. I think it's something like $7,000 or $8,000 each.
Did we ever look into anything other than the Fords? Ford's the only one doing this?
The hybrid vehicles that are good for policing, my understanding is the Fords are really the best. We did get some Tahoes last year. That was a bit of a debate because they are very close, believe it or not, in mileage when you look at it compared to the hybrids, and their resale value is a lot higher, but we have to have a certain percentage of our fleet be hybrid because we're a green community, so we made a commitment to having that. I don't know any other company that outfits for police with hybrid, but I can certainly ask the chief if he can look into it.
And we buy the car and then we send it to somebody to have it geared up, correct?
Correct.
Yeah,
And
Colonial usually does the whole thing for us.
Oh, I thought okay, so Colonial does it.
But we get it off the state bid list.
Yeah.
Correct.
So that's the same price all throughout the state.
Because I know MHQ used to be the big one to do the cruises.
Yep, that's another one. They're another big one.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that answer.
Do you have
Absolutely.
a total for fire?
I'm working on it.
Oh, okay.
Fire has a lot. Kristen, a bit ago we were talking about ARPA funding. Do you want to
Yes.
just bring that up while I'm adding up fire?
You actually read my mind. I was just going to ask if we wanted to go back to that. So, back in the, I want to say, summer, when Capitol wasn't meeting, the state started telling us that ARPA funding might be clawed back. And there was a bit of a panic because they said any funds that have not been appropriated were at risk. So the board did what we're calling a conditional ARPA appropriation. And I'm sorry, it was actually the end of May, kind of almost summer. I'm still wishing it was summer, so that's where I'm thinking summer. So if you have that ARPA spreadsheet that I put in there, if you flip to the second spreadsheet, you'll see these it's called conditional ARPA appropriations approved 5/22/23. The first were 2 servers that the town offices needed for police and fire, as well as on the town hall side. So the servers themselves were under $10,000. Then with the install, though, that pushed it up a little bit over. So we did purchase the servers. We were trying to get them in before the prices went up, but they haven't completed the install yet. So that was one piece, and usually servers often have a lifespan of less than 5 years, so I apologize if I missed that on the capital. I thought there was a 5-year definition, so I'm not used to bringing IT stuff typically before capital, so that may be my mistake on that. So if capital wants to take a vote or discuss that one a little bit more, we can. Do you want me to go through the whole list and then we can discuss specific ones?
Sure. I have to say, I don't see the ARPA list, but I might be in the wrong,
You have to go up a folder.
yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. I might be in the wrong folder. It's in FY25, you said?
I put it just
Oh, there it is.
in FY25.
I found it.
Okay,
Is
so
there
that's
anything
the
in
first one.
police
The
about
other one,
antennas?
the next one that they wanted us to look into was document scanning, so that we could basically modernize our functions and get rid of some of the paper that we have. Excuse me, and try to see what we could do in the vein of scanning with some of the readable, recognizable scanning software that's out there. So they wanted to allocate $5,000 toward looking at that. Website updates, they would like our website to be updated, which it's greatly in need of, and to have that person not only make the updates, but also train someone to be the webmaster, so to speak, so that we can keep the website up to date. There is actually a local person that I've been speaking with. She's a web designer and graphic arts specialist, and she can actually do it for it. The proposal I received from her was actually under $5,000 to do it. So we are going to move forward with the website updates.
Have you seen her work?
Kristen, I don't know if you just heard Eloise ask if you had seen her work.
Have I? So we met and she had showed me some of the work that she had done, and she actually gave me a full presentation proposal. So
okay.
she's excellent.
Okay.
The playground equipment at BMS, I am still waiting for a quote. That is one that they've put through, Recreation has put through capital a couple of times.
Right.
So once I get a quote, I can bring it forward to you all to look at. I keep checking in with them and they are not there yet. So I guess they're looking at different pieces of equipment. They have to figure out what they want before they can get a quote, because it's pretty vast in terms of what's available for playground equipment. So again, that's just a conditional authorization that would have to come back before the board and capital for approval, but the board did express the interest in funding the playground. The Brown Barn and parking we touched a little bit on earlier. The Brown Barn, I can tell you, I actually received 2 quotes and I just haven't had a chance to upload them. One is for just under $29,000 to tear down the barn, remove all of the material, remediate any environmental issues, and reseed the ground to bring it back to its previous state. The other one, I believe, was for $36,000. So they were very close. And the third person I requested a quote from did not respond. So I am still waiting on the parking lot side. That would have to be a spring project anyways, if we were to move forward with it. But I anticipate with the barn itself being just under $30,000, the parking is certainly going to require more than just the 20 that's left. So that's why we were looking for that extra funding from capital. And
So
I'll
you-
keep pounding the pavement. We started looking for requests when Lazaro was here doing the recreation courts that are down by the schools. We asked them if they could look at the parking, but we didn't get a quote from them. And We've asked a couple local people, so if anyone knows anyone who wants to quote paving a parking lot, please let me know, because I am struggling to find someone to quote.
Oh, there's a ton of people out there. I'll get you some names.
I was gonna say, I
That
might
would be
actually know
wonderful.
someone too.
You're
That would
asking, actually for that brown bond, I'm looking at, you're asking for $100,000?
Total for the parking and the Brown Barn.
Would you put the,
Where would you put the salt and mixed stuff?
So it's not in the Brown Barn. The only thing in the barn right now is some old highway equipment that Fred is in the process of
Oh,
moving it.
you're talking the brown bond by the tennis courts?
yes?
Correct.
Okay. Sorry, I was thinking brown bond down by the salt bond. Okay, gotcha.
Nope, sorry about that. This one's the one down on South Commons.
Good, good, get rid of that one.
So
Yeah, it's pretty banged up.
so the plan is just to take it down and pave it? What's,
So take it down. So the paving is actually next to it. It's where the dirt parking lot is right
Put
now, the
the,
sort of
It's-
sandy dirt parking lot.
It's where the new sidewalk goes down to the dirt parking lot, that whole area.
yeah,
Correct. It's like the sidewalk to nowhere.
Yeah.
Why didn't you
That we
put
would
the pavilion
actually put
there
a
in
parking
its
lot that
place?
connects to that sidewalk.
Yeah.
do you, Kristen, know where they're talking about putting the new pavilion that the community preservation enacted? Is that something that might go where the Brown Barn is?
I do know, and they are actually talking about moving it over by the fields, and that is not what they asked for at town meeting.
Right.
So I have told them they have to go back to town meeting in May to request relocation of that item.
Correct.
So put it where the brown barn is.
So where were they planning on putting it?
They were planning on putting it over by the rec courts,
Okay,
but the school has concerns about it being near that playground back there, because that is the school's playground and it cannot be used by anyone during the day. And they spoke with a bunch of stakeholders, unfortunately kind of after they asked for the money, but that's because CPA was brand new. They're still kind of getting their processes under their feet.
right.
And so when they started speaking with stakeholders about where to put it, pretty much everybody said it would be much better used over by the fields, as opposed to by the rec courts. And then there was some conversation that perhaps the gazebo that's over by the fields could be put over by the tennis courts. But putting a very large pavilion there, the school, had concerns. Police and fire had some concerns. I'd have to pull up my notes to give you exactly everything, but they're going to be putting a presentation together at town meeting on all of the reasons why they want to relocate it over to the field side.
Okay,
So it's a little tricky because, it wasn't what was presented. So even though the funding is there, I feel in the interest of transparency, because there's people at town meeting that may have voted for it because it was near the courts, and may not vote for it where they're proposing to put it now. So that's why I did actually speak with town council about the way that the article was written, and in the interest of not having it be challenged, we want to have it go back to town meeting.
yeah.
So Kristen, does that mean it's treated as a new CPA request? Or is it an amendment to a CPA request?
It would be an amendment.
Okay.
I don't know exactly how it would be written. We'd have legal counsel help us write the warrant article.
Okay.
The only problem I have with all this time delay is the cost of that pavilion is gonna go up and up and up.
You aren't correct, unfortunately. I mean, they have been talking to a contractor who is on the Mass Higher Ed Consortium list, and that is an approved state bid consortium, if you will. So I don't know. Unfortunately, they can't lock in anything right now, but they have started shopping around. So, I just don't want it to be contested if we move it.
All right, I agree with you 100%. It's just that I know with the cost of stuff, between now and when it actually happens, we're probably looking at a 10 to 20% increase in price.
Well, it's possible, and I think that's something we'd have to look at too in terms of CPA funding when they come before us at Capitol and ask if we need to put in, or they need to rather put in a request for an escalation because of the time delay. That's a really valid point. So they need to just ask for a little bit of additional funding to offset that.
Yeah.
So you don't, but they don't have any concrete numbers yet anyways, do they?
No, not at this time. I mean, they were looking at prices for the pavilion, but then there's also a separate piece, which is you'd have to pour the concrete pad, connect the electrical, and that part of it would have to be put out to bid.
Right.
And that wasn't, I don't recall that portion being discussed, the pad and the electric.
That's part of the whole thing. It's just that the company you buy the pavilion from doesn't they will install the pavilion, but they don't do the electrical or the concrete work.
Okay.
So that's like two separate,
They work together, but they're not affiliated.
Yeah.
yeah, but,
Correct.
but the pavilion people, would they be like the general contractors? Because we would have, because you're asking for two different amounts of money for two different projects, really. You got the pavilion,
It's still all one project. You're just looking at two separate bids, basically. You're looking at a bid for the actual pavilion and then a bid for the rest of the site work.
Okay.
And the pavilion can be purchased off of the Mass Higher Ed Consortium. So that there's two different ways that, as Ellie referenced earlier, the state bid list allows for purchase of items at a reduced price. You can also purchase through what they call purchasing collaboratives or consortiums. And the Mass Higher Ed Consortium is a very well-known, reputable consortium that the town is connected with as well. So they do pavilions even more so than the state bid does because they do schools. So this is something that's very common for them.
Okay.
Do you have an amount for highway?
No, I will get you one. Kristen, it looks like there's a third floor reno for the town offices for $200,000 that's being considered.
There is. I will tell you, all that's been done so far is to have an architect look at the space and try to give us a price estimate and some preliminary design as to what it might look like to outfit that space, which was supposed to have been outfitted eventually for the rest of the fire and police, so that they could actually have dormitories up there, police evidence room, a bit of more of a living area. Right now they have one room that has 2 beds and 2 recliners in it. And as you can imagine, we have a bit of trouble attracting and retaining female firefighters overnight because that's not a comfortable living space to share a same room with a potential person you don't know, because we have a lot of call firefighters. So being able to actually have proper dorm space is something that was always anticipated for the fire building. It just wasn't fully built out when that space was done back in 2000. So we looked at what it would cost, and unfortunately the cost is estimated at about 1.7 million.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know that.
So that is not something that's going to be feasible. That $200,000, I don't want to get rid of it right now, and the reason is the state is coming out with, I don't know if you're familiar with the MSBA program, the Mass School Building Authority program, which provides funding for school buildings. The state is coming out with a municipal equivalent of that program, which would provide funding for police buildings, fire buildings, town office buildings, and it's a wildly popular idea. I've been tracking it. It looks promising in terms of passing, and we have some plans now that make us pretty close to shovel ready, if you will, for applying for those funds if the program does go through in FY25. So I'd like to keep the 200,000 in case there's a match required, which I presume there may be, because a lot of these grant programs, if,
A lot
you know,
of
and
them are
obviously this
coming
is
out
just
that
an
way.
idea right now, they don't have the logistics worked out. But if it's getting to the point where we're coming up against the ARPA deadline, which is December 31st of 24 for having all funds appropriated, and December 31st of 26 for having all funds expended, and we're not able to figure out what we can do with regard to funding for that space, we'll have to look at reallocating that funding to something else. I don't want to do it quite yet, because I think there is promise in the state program, and our state reps are aware of it and tracking it, and everyone's kind of pretty excited about it. There's a lot of buzz right now. So I think waiting and seeing a little bit more on how that all that plays out is worth it.
Kristen, where'd the 1.8 million come from? Where did that number derive from?
The architect.
I'll tell you, I can build a whole building for 1.8 million.
It's a lot of money. Part of the problem is they have to do 2 staircases that were not built out for in the building. And I could certainly happy to share the plans with you. And if you want to take a look at them and, give any comment, but there was a pretty significant amount of work to be code compliant and ADA compliant that unfortunately the building just wasn't set up for when it was built.
All kidding aside, for 1.8, we could build a dormitory right next door to it. I mean, that's a lot of money just for a retrofit.
Yep, I agree with you. I'd be happy to share the plans, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you, we struggled to find an architect. I think the chief reached out to 7 or 8, and they all said no. We finally found one, so we couldn't even get a competitive or a different quote on it, because literally there are architects that are just not taking work right now.
Have you gone back to the original architect?
Yes, that was I forget the name. Is it I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's where we started.
I don't see that one flying.
No,
Fix the
no,
old
and it's
fire
not, but I
station.
mean, it needs to
Oh,
get on
there
the
you go.
plan.
Yeah. I know, I just, like I said, I'm just going from people talking, the past things that we've done, and I'll use the town garage as one of them, of about spending money that we really got out of hand a little bit on. And I think this is gonna be one of the same thing. This will not be overlooked, I don't think.
No, I mean, the only other thing that we could do potentially is put in a little bit of the mitigation funding toward it, but I wouldn't even consider this request unless there was the state funding. It's just kind of up in the air right now.
When is the
So-
state funding supposed to be coming about?
So it's a new program that they're designing for hopefully FY25 is where they're
Okay.
at right now.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So I think we just track it for a little while. It may be worth getting a second opinion on the cost estimate if it looks like we might be able to get some state funding, and depending on how much that state funding will provide. But I just, we ask everybody to put their requests out to at least get it on the list. Obviously, that's not something that we can fund by ourselves right now.
Is there any federal funding available for stuff like that?
Not that I'm aware of,
Usually
but I can
not.
certainly work with Chief and see if we can find anything. The program is kind of unique, what they're trying to do here. And I'm not aware of any federal building for non-school, but I can certainly look into it.
Yeah, I was just wondering, they float money around pretty good sometimes. I wonder if we can grab some.
So Kristen,
Sometimes they do. That's true. I hear you. So I will definitely take a look and keep my eyes open as well.
Kristen, I have a question. When you talk about the need for the dormitory and for the evidence, do these have to be in the same building?
I would say the dormitories, yes, because you want to have direct access to your equipment, so that'll be going down to your equipment.
Rent rooms down at the hotel and leave the fire truck items.
I mean, there's a number of things those dormitories could be used for too. You know, it's police, fire, if there's an emergency situation going on for any type of emergency management personnel. You know, you're looking at being able to actually have a fully functional firehouse, which you don't have right now. The evidence room, it has to be a safe, secure, locked room that the police can, you know, pretty easily access. So I would say perhaps that should be close to the police station, if not, you know, in it. They do have a small evidence room right now that's pretty crammed from what I understand. So that was part of the idea is, you know, to help them with space issues as well as fire.
So, because then if you're thinking more broadly, they could be anywhere in this building, and you can move something else out.
That room has to be very specifically secured and built out a certain way.
Okay.
So I'm not certain. I'd have to talk to the chief. I mean, like I said, they have something for now. This would just be, you know, if they were able to make it a little bit larger to fit the needs. Because right now, downstairs, to be honest, we don't really have extra space.
Oh, no, to
unless
back up,
we were to kick people out.
Kristen, no, to back up from Steve's earlier comment about building a new building, not to be taken as facetious,
Oh,
but
I see what you're
but
saying. I'm
saying
sorry.
is
I
that
thought you meant using
looking at
existing
if these are things that the police and fire need in this building, is there other activities in this building that could be relocated to another building rather than
I
having to
see what
build
you're
out
saying.
the rather to have an option to building out the attic space, which from your description it's sounding like there were additional issues of not having the stairway access and the ADA compliance.
Right. I mean, there would be space. The only space I could think of would be in the basement of the municipal side, but that's already been built out for a training room with all of the IT and stuff that they need down in there. We have our COA room down there because we don't have a senior center, and the food pantry is down there, and that pretty much takes up all the space that's there. I mean, one of the things that we are going to do as part of the facility study is look at other options for space, so we can definitely keep that in mind.
Okay.
See, another thought you could do is actually just add on to the side of the fire station. And that way there, you don't have stairs, less chances people rushing down to get to the fire truck, falling, slipping. So you could actually go, if you built onto the building the sideways, go out 25, 30 feet, the length of the station, you could do all you want to do with that thing without going, instead of going up, go out. And your safety will be better because you don't have people going up and down stairs.
Right. Well, yeah, it's definitely something to look at, and I can mention it to the folks doing the facility study.
So that would be my question. Where are we on that facility study?
So right now they're surveying the buildings. So there's a number of steps that need to be taken, and they're surveying the buildings. They'll be doing an energy audit, and they will be looking at a capital plan based on outstanding maintenance, preventative maintenance, as well as a space needs study.
Okay. And how long do they anticipate all of that will take them?
We're looking at probably February, March
Oh.
is the date right now. So I think we'll be not in time for us to really make any plans for FY25, but I think it's going to really influence the capital process for FY26.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of calling FY25 the year of staffing because we have a number of really large outstanding staffing needs we need to address, but FY26 is probably going to be, the year of capital because we're going to find out all the scary deferred maintenance items in all of these buildings that they're going to say, hey, if you don't fix this, it's then going to cost you 5 times as much down the road, and those types of issues that we're going to really want to
Has the
look at
air
addressing.
handler been installed?
And that's going to be challenging too, looking at free cash and where we're at there. But I think that getting a plan, they're looking at these buildings literally from roof to basement. They're looking at all of the systems. They actually create a database that catalogs the age of every item, what the recommended repair life cycle is, what needs to be done on them on an annual basis, and they actually make an overall building assessment of sort of like a keep, renovate, sell assessment. And it's a whole mathematical formula that they use based on the cost that you would have to put into each of these buildings to address the outstanding needs. So it's a pretty neat, assessment that they do.
Will they include the antenna buildings associated with the fire?
Did you hear that question, Kristen? The buildings for the fire antennas.
Are you talking about the radio antennas?
Yeah.
So the radio project is its own separate piece.
Yes, but are they gonna?
I don't know. We're in the process of updating all of the cabling and antennas and those types of things already.
Yeah.
Are you talking? So
There are little bitty buildings, one of which I can think of that's sort of falling down, but the other one I think we share with Verizon. I think Verizon rents us space in one of them. I don't, police would know better, the chief would know better.
yeah,
For sure.
I
It's
asked
just
the
when you're
chief. That
talking
was
energy efficiency and
Well, my other
heating
question
and
about
stuff.
energy efficiency is, didn't you guys at the energy committee like a year or two ago do that full energy assessment? Right? So is the energy committee's energy assessment, does that have any effect on the stuff that the town building people are doing?
Yep, so they're going to actually do an energy audit that the Energy Committee is sharing some of their adder funds
Okay, cool.
with us to do. We wanted, that was important to make sure that we partnered with the Energy Committee when we look at system replacement and system upgrades.
And the reports that they gave us are available online.
The ones that you guys had, that energy committee did, yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Can you actually, Eloise, I didn't know they were available online. Can you do me a favor and send me the link to those so I can forward them on to they haven't started the energy audit portion yet, but I'd like to forward those on to the company.
Why don't you ask Tim Wysocki, because his computer skills are sadly 100% better than mine.
Okay, no problem.
so I agree with you on that, on the building maintenance and assessment on that, because I'm a pro 3-year, 5-year plan person, because it seems like towns and what have you never are on the ball they're always fixing an emergency instead of looking ahead, and we always
Yes.
spend more money than we have to.
Yep.
Yep, it's a major issue that all towns face, and unfortunately it's
It's true.
because there's no dedicated funding stream in most communities that, aren't super wealthy communities for doing this type of work. And one of the things we started last year with the FinCom was starting a facilities repair and maintenance line item in the budget. And unfortunately, we only had 10 grand to put into it. And I can tell you it's already been spent this year, but that's 10 grand more than we had before. And we're hoping to continue to fund it. And that's just creating a pool of money to do the preventative maintenance and address things that are broken before they become bigger problems. And hopefully, like I said, we can add even more funds to it in the FY25 budget. That's really the way to go, is to be able to have that dedicated pot of funding for it.
Right, it's too bad towns can't run like businesses.
I know. We're trying. I mean, and that's the thing too. I really do treat it like a business. I mean, it's a $16 million business. So these things have to be taken into account, and we have to protect our assets. It's very important.
Exactly, thank you for that.
And that's been one of my things on FinCom too, when the big projects were coming in. was asking what the anticipated lifespan maintenance would be. Because one of the things that's been happening is we get the money up front to start the project and do it, and there isn't a long-term plan for who owns, making sure it's the upkeep and the cost.
I have
Right.
found the town has been very happy to start stuff.
Mhm.
And they forget that you have to do regular maintenance, and I don't care what it is, from the fields to,
But it's because the new project is really exciting and maintenance is really boring. I mean, really.
Well, no,
it's-
I've
it's
been
very
doing, I've been
exciting.
doing it for almost 48 years. I don't find it boring.
Yeah,
I was
but
gonna
most-
say, tell that to my husband.
But most people can get very excited about a new idea.
Yeah.
Then
Well,
they,
I think the part of the problem is that you can find one-time funding to do a project. It's the ongoing money that's the challenge to find.
But the problem is, the problem with whether it's private business or town, you know something is wrong. If you don't fix it, it's gonna cost you 20 or 30% more down the road. And that's the problem in towns.
Yep, I agree. It's a major issue, and it's something that when we all get together, town managers, and have conferences or whatever, it's one of the things they talk about, and it's a really difficult pot of money to find, because when you budget, you're budgeting for specific items. You kind of almost need to have not only a preventative maintenance budget or an annual maintenance budget, but also the what if budget when something breaks.
Yeah.
You want a
So
slush
it's a
fund.
whole combination
It's
that
called reserve
I hope the
fund.
facility study will help us to map out a plan, so we know what we should be putting away for, and what they're going to prioritize, what the most urgent needs are, and everything gets rated and ranked too.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
Oh yeah, it'll be coming your way for
I was
sure.
gonna say, it's part of our project, or we're part of the project.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much that for the dormitories. And then I can tell you the Bullard House and 1870 Town Hall improvements. Right now, all we're looking at is to figure out what's going on with the drainage runoff that's coming down the hill from 1870. We would like to have that drainage issue addressed, because it's a multi-site issue. And this stemmed from the desire to put parking and fix the parking situation up at 1870. But you're not going to put a parking lot in place or put an ADA parking area in place until you figure out what's going on with the drainage on the site. Because it's coming down the hill. The Bullard House is talking about how you would get from the parking up top at 1870 to get down to the Bullard House. There's, a little bit of flooding going on in the Bullard House basement. So all that's happening right now is just having an engineer look at drainage issues on the site.
But those drainage issues have been there since 1870. I mean,
I would be surprised.
I mean, that's been there forever and a day, and it's it's fixable. It's like everything else. You got to spend money, and I hate to say this, but I can think of more places I'd rather put money than those two facilities.
Sure, I get that. It's one of those things where I think we need to know how much it would cost and then make a decision from there, similar to what we did with the third floor here. And if it's not something that's feasible to do, then we have to figure that out.
is 1870 being used right now in any regular way?
Yes. It is being rented out. We do have Sandra Pendergast, who is the manager, who rents it out for different events and functions. The board did actually just vote to open it up to town nonprofits at no cost. So we're trying to increase the use that way.
Cool. Sounds good.
So that's kind of where we're at with ARPA.
Okay.
Not really up in the air, but once I have more information, I can certainly bring it your way.
Now, Highway has something about the 1870 parking lot.
That's the driveway going up and a lot above it.
Is that what you're talking about, Kristen, with the drainage issue and the engineer, or is that something separate?
So I've got to talk to Fred about that because I've got to make sure we're coordinating and on the same page. That would be actually the funding to do the driveway and the parking lot, but we need to figure out drainage first before that were to happen.
Well,
Right.
right, you'd have to do that, because you don't want to be paving and then do drainage afterwards.
Right.
Exactly.
And we don't have a highway, and this might just be a question for highway, but we don't have a highway request for Hot Top. And that's unusual.
Yeah, so there's Chapter 90 funding, and I don't know what Fred intends to do. I don't know that he's looking for funds outside of that, but
Usually we,
That's an ongoing need.
so it's an ongoing need, but because it's a large, I'm gonna use the word purchase, I don't know if that's, a large funding, and if it's put into his budget, then he has to spend it every year, but if he gets it as a capital request, then he can save it for several years and then do big projects.
Sometimes, if it's in a line item, what they used to do is start doing it in June, using 1 year's funding, knowing that if they had 200,000 in June, then they could also go into July and start the funding so that the total project would be worth 400,000.
yeah, I mean, they have, I know he still has money in some of those articles
Yep.
that he's been working on, and then there's the Chapter 90 funding, and there was actually what's called RAP funding, which was this winter recovery funding that came through. So I think he's pretty well set there, but I added that to my list as well to reach out to him on.
Okay, and he's coming to our next meeting, so he can, if I
And-
remember, we can ask him that question
For the
again.
record, he has to bring us
Perfect.
up to date on South Street.
So he bases a lot of his paving budget on the cherry sheet from the state, right?
That's the
Oh,
Chapter 90 funding.
Yeah, Chapter 90, the old term is the cherry sheet,
Yes, now it's separate.
okay?
Yeah. Any other questions, guys, for Krista?
I'm tired.
I'm cold. This room is
I know
cold.
that.
Somebody should fix the heat.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, I'm trying to apply for a grant to look at the HVAC system in the town offices because it's not working well. Some rooms are freezing and some rooms are boiling.
What happened with our air handler? Did that ever get replaced?
It's on its way. It's actually been, they built it and then they tested it and then they found issues with it. So I believe it was supposed to come in last week. So I have to touch base with Fred to see where we're at. But that's part of the problem too.
Do we get discounts from Mass Grid for that stuff? For National Grid?
I'm not sure how that worked. We worked with a company. That one kind of started way before me.
Yeah.
Because I just right now, I just put in a system that's $130,000 for mini splits. Through the
Yeah, this is a larger compressor air handler thing that goes up in the roof area.
But this, no, these are mini splits, but the compressors and everything are outside on the ground. And
Yeah.
they're all, every office is separately controlled by themselves. And National Grid is footing almost 60% of it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely something to look at. I mean, the building is on a big control system, like a
Yeah.
Honeywell control system that was put in a
BMS.
few years back.
The system we're getting it's state of the art. It's put out by
Talk to,
Samsung, Sanyo or
Greg
Samsung,
Tremolli.
one of the others. But what's nice about it is you control every room separate. So the town clerk, Eloise, wanted it a little bit cooler. She can make it cooler. The town tax collector wanted it. They can set their own temperatures. So and it's all done with the units outside. They're not even on the roof. So you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about repairing roof leaks around it or anything like that. It's totally off the roof.
It's a good question to ask Fred. My understanding is that the town building wide system that was put in a few years back was supposed to be an energy efficient system that it's full of controls, and I'm not an HVAC.
Yeah, I understand that.
Part of the problem, because I was involved with it, is there is one pipe, it's a fairly large one, between this side of the building and the public safety side. And unfortunately, one side might call for heat and the other side might call for cooling, and there's only one pipe.
That's the problem, yeah, you can't separate it.
Because they saved money when they were doing the renovation.
Yeah, that's the problem with the mini splits, because if you have several rooms on one compressor, you have the same thing. You all have to be either doing a cooling or a heating. But if you have separate compressors for each room, then each room can be doing heat or cold.
Hey, Kristen, are we doing anything for lighting in this building?
We've had 2 lighting energy audits, and we have updated them at that time.
These aren't updated.
The last one was mostly out in the hallway.
Yeah. These would be all LEDs now, not fluorescents.
Yeah, that I'm not sure. I'd have to check. I'm in the process of looking at a Green Communities grant, and that would cover lighting,
Yeah,
potentially.
that'd be great.
Could you forward that energy grant information to the Energy Committee? Because since we have a new governor, I haven't seen anything.
Oh, Tim's on it. That's an annual grant that we get because we're a green community that you can apply for. Tim, I'm trying to get Central Mass Regional Planning Commission does it for us.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that'd be good. I didn't mean to throw extra stuff at you, but I'm sitting here
Hey,
looking
that's
at the
all right.
fluorescent lights.
No, that's what I'm here for. You know, if something needs to be brought to my attention, that's good to know.
Well,
Okay. Do we have any further questions on capital requests at the moment? We want police and fire to come in and talk to us?
yeah,
And-
that way
yeah.
there we can have a chance to look at this before,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thoughts, concerns? Nope. I'm going to adjourn us at 7:55 PM. I'm calling it.
Thank you.